This is the time of the meeting. I will open up the microphone over here for the Zoom session for public comment. If any member of the public wishes to make a comment, come on up, state your name and your street, please.
Hi, Julia O'Brien from Stevens Court. And because today is January 27th, I wanted to highlight that it is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And it's also the 80th anniversary of Auschwitz being liberated by Allied troops. So I thought it was important to point it out because the Holocaust is the most vivid way of remembering that what happens if authoritarianism and bigotry go unchecked. So never forget.
Thank you. Never forget. Those are great, great words. Thank you, Ms. O'Brien. Any other member of the public wishing to make a statement? Ms. Ray, we see Chief Bernardo up there.
That's correct, Mayor.
So we will proceed with the rest of the meeting. We have two sets of meeting minutes to approve. It's December 30th. That was our the end of the year bill paying meeting. And the January 2nd reorganization meeting. Any comments regarding those meeting minutes? Seeing none, take a motion to approve.
So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I have to abstain from the 12:30.
Thank you.
We have three social fair permits. First social fair permit at Lamington Presbyterian Church on May 16, 2025 from 6 to 9 p.m. located at Lamington Presbyterian. And then a social fair permit to benefit the American Cancer Society on October 14, 2025 from 9 to 4 located at Huntington Place Golf Club. And a social fair permit to benefit Union College Foundation on April 28, 2025 from 9 to 7 p.m. at Fiddler's Elbow Country Club. Any comments, questions regarding social fair permits? So now take a motion to approve. So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Monthly report discussion by subcommittee chair, Committee Woman Fernandez.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a quick rec update. So we welcomed new members to our rec committee. We voted Bill Rosen to be, well, they voted Bill Rosen to be the chair of the rec committee and vice chair Frank Pascali. The Easter egg hunt, already events for 2025 already coming up. Easter egg hunt will be Saturday, April 19th. Fall Fest will be Saturday, October 11th. We discussed the Burnt Mill Dog Park. And let's see what the updates are.
I don't think we discussed that.
Flipping to page 5. So Boswell Engineering provided the scope of work and services for the project and will prepare the final bid documents. The features will be 1 acre, fence with maintenance gate in the middle of the park, paved walking path around the perimeter of both sections of the park, benches, and a shade structure were discussed. We also discussed Camp Bedminster, which is crazy to think, but that will be here before you know it. And registration opens for Bedminster residents April 1st, and then May 1st. May 1st for non-Bedminster residents, and registration ends May 31st. So the fees went up a little bit, and for out of town residents they went up a little bit as well because we were discounting a little bit for our Bedminster residents, and that was mostly all we discussed at the meeting. That's my updates. There's some spring, winter programs, basketball clinics are taking place, travel and rec basketball go through March. There's Lego engineering and coding after school program, which is really cool, and that gets filled up right away. There's cooking, hip hop, indoor volleyball, adult outdoor sand volleyball. Dates and times will be determined.
Great.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Bill, as chair of rec, anything to add?
No. You guys probably
All right.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Just a quick update on our little meeting on January the 16th about our traffic on speeding issues on Old Dutch. Gina and I Sergeant Polito, Jason, Lieutenant Polito, sorry. Jason, Paul Ferraro from town, and our two residents, Rob and Rob, that made it easy, Ford and Barcelona. We meant to talk a little bit more about, the speeding and where they're doing it and such. And, at the end, Paul is going to look into, the viability of putting something like rumble strips, perhaps adding some more signage. We were Jason's gonna do some trimming on Old Dutch Place to clean it up.
So we're at Old Dutch Place in Old Dutch. Intersect.
Place. See.
Got it.
And then the big discussion was where 202 and Old Dutch meet. Now it's kind of a triangular intersection, making that a 90-degree turn. And there were pluses and minuses. Gina highlighted a bunch of things that would not be so great. Paul highlighted some things that would make it better. As we went through the meeting, it was kind of, you solve one issue and you create another. So I think we're going to try and look for a happy medium where we slow down the traffic, but traffic doesn't get piled out onto the highway. So perhaps putting a 90-degree turn there instead of the V, but that has to go through DOT. Thank you.
So would that get rid of the piece closer to your house?
Yeah, so there are two separate issues, is what we were discussing.
Mhm.
One is speeding down Old Dutch, and the other is people flying off the highway and going straight that way so like pulling out of Deer Haven is like very dangerous. And Paul was saying any way to pull out of the highway and have to look back like that, where the triangle like going this way, that is dangerous anyway. He said you shouldn't be turning that way. However, we discussed that how traffic backs up there anytime anything happens, especially with the bridge that's going to be going out, people are going to be going that way more. And if people are want to turn right to Chester and you're waiting there to make a left at the stop sign, it's like, and especially if there's like long lines of traffic. So I had said it would probably help if we widened it so that there was a way to turn right and be stopped and stop and turn left.
The designated.
But he was saying
go to the left and
that he didn't know
right.
that would work or something. So that's what my suggestions would be, because that gets backed up anytime anything happens. And before even doing that, you would have to wait till the bridge work was done, because that is going to back up anyway, because everybody's going to be cutting through there now.
So maybe the chief.
So we don't even know if we
Chief
can
can
do
address
this.
The speed monitoring, did it reveal that there was a speeding issue? I mean, when we did that test on Southfield.
They had to, can I answer?
Sure.
Okay.
You want this?
No, okay. So the average was like 40 and then they had like there was some extreme numbers, but for the most part it was average speed. However, where the sign is placed, it's at the bottom of the road when you're already slowing down. They said they had to place it there because it has to hit it straight on. If they're on the hill, it's on an angle and it doesn't work anyway. But think about if you're stopping at the end of Deer Haven to make that right, you're stopped. So you're literally going, 10 miles an hour to turn, or not even. So it kind of throws the average off. So, but they did say they're going to put up more speed signs that, people are going to obey the law, And then possibly look into grates, but the grates make noise. So you'd have to have like a yes from all the neighbors that live there, that they're definitely okay with that. And he doesn't even know if they're allowed. But that was some of the suggestions for the speeding issue. Those again, are two separate issues.
So it sounds as if, unlike Southfield, that the monitoring did reveal a speeding concern here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was not, there was only a few extremes.
Okay.
Otherwise, it was, but again, where the location was, because it's the only place they could put it, where it would hit traffic straight on, was already when you're slowing down.
Okay. And adjacent, DPW is typically not a fan of the rumble strips. Is that still?
Well, we talked about it, you can't put them going down the hill. Because with the snow and the ice, it's gonna create that. Tom and I went out and marked 5 spots, we're gonna put 25-mile-an-hour speeds
Okay.
on both sides, so.
Okay.
That's what's starting.
Yeah, and the police have been very present down at the bottom of the hill. I was on there this morning. And actually on Peapack Road, they've changed the speed to 25, or it used to be 35. There's like plenty of police presence there too, so that's, I mean, it does make a difference because you do slow down.
That's on the, in the Forest Hills area?
All I got.
It's a lot. It's good. Okay. Maybe heck you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, all. Quick update on the Board of Health. They did reorganize and Chairman Fisher is once again Chairman of the Board of Health. They had sponsored a virtual presentation. Is that a record? It might be. I don't know how many years he has, but yes.
How old is Bedminster's what, 1749?
Yes, we have here.
He's been serving since. He's doing a great job. Anyway, they sponsored a virtual presentation last week with the Rutgers Cooperative. The topic was food too good to waste, which talks about stretching your food dollar. And apparently the program was well received. The board will sponsor another presentation called Cooking with Herbs, just scheduled for March 26th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. right here at Town Hall. The cost is $10 per person and you can register online. And just a note, I did attend.
Sorry, is that through the county? Who's running there?
So Rutgers Cooperative, we've teamed with them, or Board of Health has teamed with them. So they put on the programs, they have the presenters. They basically run the programs.
That's right. Yeah, if you could actually get that information to, we've got a farmers market committee coming up, but that would probably be good. To
Good idea.
make it out in the farmers market social media.
We could do that, absolutely. Make a note of that. And then just note, Board of Ed, I did attend the regular January meeting and congratulations to new board president Sarah Nathans, vice president Gabriela Gomez, and newly elected board member Marshall Mabry. Mayor, that's all I have.
Okay, Midman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Just on DPW, spending a lot of time cleaning up. We've got storm cleanup we've been working on. Holiday decorations are coming down. JVH site had an exploration, so we've reseeded and hayed that site as well. And of course, we've got some tree cleanup that we're working on. As far as projects, the town hall parking lot lighting is getting looked at. And what are you doing on Spook Hollow, the pipe job? What is that?
There was a wall fell down on the corner of Bridgedale's house.
Okay.
And so we're rebuilding that whole thing.
Okay.
Fight.
And then we were out the small farm, the DEP authorized cutting. Since last meeting, I had a meeting with Colin and with Rob and with the leadership at the Fire 29, Bar Hill Bedminster Fire Department. We just went through some of their long-term range goals, some of the budget items, and they're going to be presenting tomorrow. But we had a very productive meeting with their leadership. And ran a little bit over, so I was a little bit late to historic press, but there was an emergency meeting approving the reconstruction of a retaining wall in the former Desiderio site. So I understand that may be going back to land use, but I understand that emergency repair was approved. That's all I've got.
Okay, great. I mean, just following up on DPW, you guys did a great job that snowfall. Running around next day to other towns, it's clear that Bedminster, between the plowing, salting, and the brining, was in much better shape than a lot of other towns. So well done to Jason, you guys and your staff.
Just one other thing, the boiler down at the shop, still down. Been getting multiple quotes. I got as high as 160,000 for high efficiency to 95,000 for we're trying to go through the insurance, Jeff, to see if we can get some insurance money out of it. I had the adjuster come out last week and he pretty much told me that because of its age, they're not going to cover the whole thing. It says they might cover a repair. So I have the person that gave us the 95,000 for apples. I emailed him and he's going to cost for repair. They also said,
Can it actually physically be repaired?
For 95,000. Looking excited.
the second is in the middle, so most likely not, but we need that number. So to get a little bit of funding to pay for a new boiler, which the insurance guy said.
So the repair might actually be in excess of the replacement.
Yes, so the one thing he did say that I asked him about our temporary heat that's costing us a lot of money. And he said if they approve the repair, most likely they'll approve paying for the temporary.
And is that temporary, that was working during this last week when?
Oh, yeah, it's running right now, so.
You can hear it all night.
Wow.
Figure.
So I'm just trying to move along there.
And it was natural gas, fueled? Okay. All right, from my subcommittees, land use board, no applications, Carol Gutschall, we did reorganize. Carol Gutschall was again selected as chair of land use board, Jeff Leonard as vice chair. We don't really have a lot coming up with land use board. Yeah, really not much. We also, Colin and I attended the library board meeting. No, we did not select new officers for the library board, something that I think we'll consider at the next library meeting. And farmers market, we've got a meeting coming up next week. So we'll report on that at the following meeting. And that's all I have. Ms. Ray, will you please have the administrator?
Yes, Mayor. So just to reiterate, I did attend the Far Hills Bedminster preliminary budget meeting with Committeeman Stevenson and Committeeman Hickey. Again, it was a productive meeting. We learned about some of their struggles and what they're looking for. January 20th, I attended a pre-construction meeting with our engineer from Boswell Engineering and police and DPW and our purchasing agent. We went over the plans for Union Grove Road paving project, which will start after do some pipe work in March and start paving in April. January 23rd, we had the Somerset Hills Public Safety Committee meeting, and the next meeting for that is going to be scheduled for February 20th, where we will have some representation from the State League municipalities, so that's a good thing. It's been grants and budgets. This is the time of year to wrap up all the grant reports and also just submit new grants. I've been extremely busy with that. The Highlands Planning Grant came back to us. They wanted us to reposition it, so I've already submitted that.
And that Highlands grant for the historic Pluckman Pocket Park.
That's correct. That was a planning grant that was there. We just needed to reallocate funds. They're looking for a little bit, we're looking for a little bit more description how it fit within the Highland.
Okay.
So I kind of tied it into that, the 250 of New Jersey. So that kind of seemed to hopefully go well. The other was, I had prepared a grant to the DCA. It's a recreation improvement grant that we've been applying for on a regular basis. Again, this is for the Pluckman Pocket Park project. You can get an award up to 100,000. We're applying for the max. That.
And is that also a planning grant or is that?
This is construction.
Construction.
This is a construction grant.
Okay.
They don't cover soft costs in those grants with the DCA. I will tell you that, yeah, so it's a.
So we could actually get a Highlands grant for planning, which would probably be design elements. And then a construction grant for actually installing improvement.
Right, so the Highlands grant would cover the engineering, design, planning, and construction monitoring. Whereas the DCA grant would cover a portion of the construction costs for that.
Okay.
And you have a resolution in your agenda tonight for consideration. We do need to get approval from the governing body to apply for that.
And are there any constraints? I mean, I know this, I'm asking this at the last minute, but any constraints if we utilize DPW for the construction, or do we have to go out to bid?
Well, so no, DPW is part of the grant process. They're part of the grant. They're part of the stakeholders in the whole process. So no, there should be no issues.
Good. Okay. Sorry.
No, that's quite all right. Just reported back on the ARP firefighters grant, which is due. That was for the PPE and the turnout gear for both Pottersville and Far Hills Bedminster Fire. So that's been submitted. And the ARP federal grant reporting, I've done most of it. I just have to hit the button after I proofread it one more time. So there's been a lot of reports and then budget prep out. So we have our first budget meeting tomorrow. Don't forget, 7 o'clock. Tomorrow we're discussing emergency services is on the agenda. So you'll hear from Pottersville Fire, Far Hills Bedminster Fire, Far Hills Bedminster First Aid Squad.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. Chief, if we could just update for the beginning of 2025 on community policing.
Yeah, hi, good evening. February 20th at 12 p.m. We're going to be giving a safety presentation at the Clarence Dillon Library to include personal and home security and some common scams that are going around right now. So if anybody's interested, that's February 20th at 12 p.m. at the library. And that's all I have for now, Mayor.
That's great. But while we have you, could you go just walk us through the press release, the January 22nd press release from the prosecutor's office?
Well, you call me unprepared, Mayor, because I don't have that in front of me. But there was a burglary at the Quick Check. I believe it was December 3rd. And our detectives were involved with the prosecutor's office and several other agencies, and they did a really good job and were able to come up with the suspect and make an arrest. And that individual was lodged in jail probably a few weeks ago. Like I said, I don't have it in front of me, Mayor, so I can't give you the particulars.
So I think that what I do want to hit upon with this press release and the incident itself is this incident happened prior to Bedminster going live with our license plate reading cameras, the APLRs. However, the vehicle that was suspected to be the vehicle for the offender was picked up by an APLR in Warren Township. And the chief and I were discussing this last week during the Somerset Hills Public Safety Committee meeting. And the term that Chief Bernardo used is that this is really force multiplier, right? Between the cameras that we've installed plus all the flock cameras, which in flock is the company that is installing them and operating them. They're all available. Or the information, the data is accessible to all the municipalities working with Flock. So, Frank, we just briefly talk about how those cameras aided in the apprehension.
I really can't do that, Mayor. I apologize. There's still an ongoing investigation. I could just tell you they're very effective.
All right.
We definitely don't want to also give away our trade craft, if you will.
No, I understand, but I think it's just important for the TC and for anyone that's listening that these work.
What is 18? What was it? 18?
APLR.
Automated license plate reader, ALER.
So camera reading license plates.
Yeah.
They're in front of your house.
Yeah.
Okay.
One more thing I meant to mention, do you mind if I
Sure.
just? So we received a really nice letter. I don't know if you were all aware that Janine DeLeon, who's the animal registrar, took care of for the Board of Health. She does the rabies clinic in the township. And we received a really nice letter from a resident. She said, "Dear staff of the rabies clinic, I appreciate the huge help I received at the clinic. Because I was incapacitated somewhat, they made it easier to complete the form by handling my dog. They were very friendly and considerate. Thanks, June Hampson." So that was Janine and Caitlin were there running the dog clinic with the Gossamer DPW and Dr. Blacher's staff and the veterinary right here on Main Street. So I just wanted to share.
That's great. That's great. All right. So thank you to Janine and to Caitlin for assisting. Introduction of ordinances, none. Public hearing of ordinances, none. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items on the consent agenda. Once again, these are items of a routine nature. Whoever township committee member may pull one, a few, all of them, all for individual consideration. Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda. So moved.
Thanks. I'm sorry, who seconded that? I did. Thank you, Jane. Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Ms. Moreski.
Aye.
Ms. Fernando. Aye. And Mayor Jacob.
Aye.
Thank you.
First resolution for individual consideration is resolution number 2025-025. This resolution authorizes the issuance of not to exceed $1,874,700 on bond anticipation notes for the acquisition of various equipment. Big number. All right, Robin, I think we've been through this before, but once again, just for prosperity, give us the rundown on this.
So through the budget process in 2024 and in 2023, we learned that we needed to replace all of our emergency services radios for Pottersville Fire, Bar Hills, Bedminster Fire, and the First Aid Squad. And because the county was switching their technology from 500 megahertz to 700 megahertz. So we have no choice but to get these radios replaced before the end of 2026. So everybody's doing it. We've got to jump on it, and our order has been placed. The bonds are part of this, as well as a tender for Pottersville Volunteer Fire Department. We are paying 60% of that fire truck. Pottersville pays 40%, as well as the radios. Bedminster pays 80% and Bar Hills pays 20%. And we are also covering in this bond anticipation note the purchase of a new chassis, and then the remount of a ambulance for Bar Hills Bedminster Fire Department. I'm sorry, First Aid.
First Aid.
Too many FHB, whatever.
Right, so these are items that we've been discussing for years now. The radios, I think it goes back to maybe my first year, well, maybe not my first year, but shortly thereafter, the county had talked about switching frequencies. At the time, it was because the federal government was moving off that band. And essentially, they were going to free up that band for private commercial use. The county jumped the gun and made the decision, okay, we're switching out of that band. Feds have told us they're going to do this. They're going to do it. Well, they didn't. The feds did not. And anecdotally, because York, Chicago, LA, all the other emergency services basically screamed and said, if you switch, this is going to cost us billions of dollars to switch radios. However, Somerset County had already made a commitment to migrate from that band. And so all the emergency services on county dispatch, Bar Hills, Bedminster Fire, Bar Hills, Bedminster First Aid, and Pottersville Fire Department, and everyone else in the county has to switch. So that's big bucks. Robin, have we locked in the pricing for those radios?
We are locked in. Order has been placed. We're locked in.
Okay, so we're preserved from rate increases.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions?
I have a question. Does the county offer any funding for us?
None whatsoever.
No. Oh, my goodness.
Is it only Somerset County?
Yes.
So let's be clear, the county is requiring us to go into the hopper to borrow money to get radios.
Yes.
And this is dictated by Somerset County and Somerset County only.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so we're clear about that.
There was an opportunity, I kept asking them about a pooled bond program, since all municipalities have to do this. And at the time last year, they weren't ready. We just had a meeting, I guess it was about a month and a half ago, right before Christmas, actually, that now they're going to go through the Somerset County Improvement Fund to do a pooled bond program for all municipalities. But the lead time on getting these radios has now been extended for all those municipalities. We are going to get ours within 3 to 6 months, but 3 months, and then they'll be programmed within 6. So we're ahead of the curve.
And so essentially what the county ended up offering was a financing program to use the Somerset County Improvement Authority for bonding. But it's essentially the same rate or maybe a higher rate than we can do through our bond anticipation.
Our own bond.
Yeah, so we're better off not participating and doing our own band than participating in the Somerset County Improvement Authority.
I just work very, very hard to keep taxes low in town when you have stuff like this happen. And it's infuriating. It really is. This is government at its worst, folks. Government at its worst right here. This is it. take a nice big swallow of this pill because it's a bad one. And it's only because our county leaders messed up. Let's be straight up about it. Our county leaders screwed up and now our citizens are taking the hit to the tune of 1.8 less what we have for our fire and safety. And that's, look, it makes it hard for everyone sitting on their seats going forward to try to keep our budgets under control. You have these out of control decisions made by folks in the county and the state, and it becomes impossible to do our job. I mean, this is absolutely the worst of government alive. That's happening.
Actually, we were deferring these purchases and we were, I know Colin was following the federal auction of that bandwidth for years, right?
Yeah, yep.
And so it was deferred. But early on, the county made the decision, hey, we're gonna get ahead of it.
I mean, it is, I mean, it is difficult, local government when the state mandates something. And everybody at local government has to figure out how to make it work financially, but now we're not even talking about the state, this is just our county, no other county, so it does seem a little absurd that we have to fund this. So I agree with Doug on that one.
Okay, it's a public needs to know because they're gonna come back to us and that's why their taxes are going up. And it's straight up on its own, the county. No one else.
Challenging.
With that being said, any other questions or comments regarding resolution 2025-025? Make a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson. No. Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Ms. Moreski. Aye. Ms. Fernandez. Aye. Mayor Jacobs.
Aye.
Thank you.
Resolution 2025-026, authorize the submission of grant application to DCA for fiscal year 2025 local recreation improvement grant. Ms. Ray, have we already discussed this?
Yes, we just went over this, Mayor. It's, we're applying for a grant to the DCA for $100,000 to help offset the construction costs for the Pluckerman, new pocket park.
Questions or comments from Ms. Ray? Seeing none, take a motion to approve resolution 2025-026. Bless you.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Ms. Moreski.
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez.
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs.
Aye.
Thank you.
Resolution 2025-029, this authorizes Bedminster Township's commitment to the DCA's fourth round affordable housing present need and prospective need numbers. Attorney Bellardo.
The state passed a law back in March of 2024, finally setting forth a legislative process for compliance with the fourth round of affordable housing. The round is a 10-year round from 2025 to 2035. It is voluntary in nature, but it's highly recommended to participate in the program because it gives you, if you successfully go through the program without challenge, gives you immunity for builders' remedies lawsuits. The DCA has prescribed a number for Bedminster Township of 72 for prospective need, which is called a new construction obligation, and present need, which is a rehabilitation obligation of existing units of 6. We've had our planner, Frank Banish, examine both of the numbers to see if any adjustments based upon the state data was required. And after a comprehensive review, we found that none was. So our number for the next 10 years is 72. Although the public should be aware that we have hundreds of credits left over from the Hills development that will essentially cover most of our for sale obligations. So we have preliminarily determined that we have an 18 rental obligation number, which the Township Committee and the Planning Board will investigate to determine the best method for satisfying that particular number, the 72 overall. This resolution is required under the law. It needs to be passed by the end of January. That's why it is before the Township Committee tonight. There was an administrative directive by the Office of Courts passed in late December that requires that a declaratory judgment complaint be filed within 48 hours of adopting this resolution with the Somerset County Superior Court. As all of you are aware, I've drafted such a declaratory judgment action. It is my intention to file that tomorrow with the court with a copy of this resolution attached. I will also serve Keith Henderson and another representative of the Department of Community Affairs with a copy of the complaint and the resolution. The clerk, Ms. Ray, is required to post a copy of the resolution in the Providence site on the Bedminster Township website. So it's a rather straightforward procedure. The next step after this is that any party that would want to file objections to what we're doing has until the end of February. The planning board, in conjunction with the township committee, has an obligation by the end of June to file amended housing element and fair share plan. So it's a straightforward process that the state has put forth, unlike our last round, 2015 to 2025, in which there was no particular law or guidance because the Supreme Court declared the COA was a war fund agency, and all of the towns filed declaratory judgment actions, and it went through a judicial process.
So here, just to bring it to a very short term or short horizon, by passing this resolution tonight, and then filing the declaratory judgment with the court, that protects us from builders remedy lawsuits until the next phase of the fourth round application.
Yes, as I indicated, the law provides that any party that decides to object to a town's declaratory judgment action and resolution has until the end of February or February 28th to do so.
But essentially, in that case, they'd be challenging the DCA numbers that DCA itself promulgated.
That's
so by Bedminster agreeing to the DCA number 72 and filing the DJ, anyone wishing to challenge would have to undermine DCA's calculation of that 72 number for the short term. There'll still be opportunities for builders remedies down the road, but with John and Frank Banish, we've got some options ahead of us.
I think we're in fairly good shape, and Bedminster, I would say, is in a somewhat enviable position. They don't have a large number like some municipalities. Obviously, our population isn't as high as some municipalities. For example, I saw Wayne Township in Passaic County just certified a number of 1,000. And that was because it was subject to a cap. The number would have been 1,649 otherwise. So I do know a number of municipalities. Some legislation have already in Somerset County began participating, including some of the smaller municipalities that have not heretofore participated in the Mount Laurel process, including South Boundbrook and Somerville. And I do know Boundbrook that has not previously participated, where the land use board attorney is intending to participate in the process. So it's a much more orderly process than we have seen in the past.
Hey, John, do you happen to know, and if you don't, just tell me because it's hitting you cold, I get it. Is there a part of the calculation process that involves like a temporal scope that I could prevent them from doing a calculation of the next round? Because the point of my question is that we were going back in time when we were looking at ways to satisfy the last round. We were saying, well, how can we sort of forecast what we might look like in the next round, and can we do anything to try to plan for that now? And we were told at the time we just don't know what the numbers look like. Now we see there's a new calculation for this most recent round we're talking about. Are you able to shed light about how the sausage is made in terms of what goes into the calculation? Because again, even if it's an 8 or 7 or 12, just trying to wonder how is it that we are now again short? And again, it's a small number, but if we then go about planning to address this round, can we do anything for the next round beyond that? And I guess very poorly, wrong, maybe question, but do you happen to know what goes into the calculation? And is it like they can't do a calculation to the next round for like 5 years because they got to look at more recent data or something? I mean, is there a reason for that?
I don't think you're going to get a fifth round calculation from 2035 to 2045, assuming the law remains unchanged until we approach the 2035 date. This particular law actually incorporates the Judge Jacobson's methodology in Mercer County that took place after I believe it was a 35-day trial down there during the last round, and after Judge Jacobson kind of split the number between what fair shares expert opined and what e-consult, which was the municipality's expert, opined. Everything pretty much fell into place. All of the Mount Laurel vicinage judges adopted that formula. You plug the numbers in. The formula in this round is based upon, you know, vacant land, developable land, redevelopment sites, income projected growth. So,
And is the look back period like close to the calculation period? So it's looking at run a calculation in the future, but we can just put it on data.
Most recent data, so the most, for example, and Colin and I sat in on a DCA presentation where they walked through the calculation.
Okay.
So they walked us through the computational application of the Judge Jacobson formula. And so it's based on a number of different factors. For Bedminster, curiously enough, vacant land was not a driver. Because they're looking at vacant land in the sewer service area. Our sewer service area is up here in Bedminster Village. And then in Plugging. So the rest of Bedminster is not in the sewer service area. So they're looking for sites within that. And frankly, there's only, I think my recollection was they chose a number of
3.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, the largest one was about 12 acres, and that was really about it.
so there was no reason for us to, after looking at this, make a modification. There are other towns that looked at that database. The database, the state had hired Rowan University and an expert down there to do a GIS to come up with the number. And I know, for example, one town where 46 developable parcels, only 3 actually are. So that particular town will be taking, I don't want to say a significant modification, but a modification from the number. And there are many towns that looked at that, you know, database and said, no, that land is not developable. It's open space. It's a railroad line. There's an existing structure and operating office on that. When we looked at that wasn't the case because we have, so as the mayor indicated, few developable parcels.
With huge developable parcels in the sewer service area. And so what turned out to be the driver for us, or the 2 drivers, one is property tax values, and those were based, I believe, on the 2024, or I'm sorry, is it 2023?
I think it was 23, yeah.
2023 property taxes and income. Those were drivers for Bedminster. To get to the 72, those were the principal drivers, not the availability of vacant land for development.
Yeah. I'm just purely attacking it from a planning standpoint. And is there anything we can do in today's world for tomorrow? And it sounds like we can't.
Well,
Because the data comes tomorrow.
so let's break it down into 2 different components. One is the owner occupied affordable housing. Traditionally, what we have in the hills. Our planner says we are sitting on a surplus. We are still through 4th round, still sitting on a surplus of hundreds of surplus credits for owner occupied affordable housing. We don't need to build. We don't need to approve or rezone for that type of housing projects. When the Hills was built, there was very few that were restricted for rental. And there has been a shift in the way New Jersey looks at affordable housing. Back then, the Hills was first built. The emphasis was on owner occupied. Now there's a requirement that a minimum percentage be rental. So the surplus credits we have for owner occupied, even though we're sitting on hundreds, still do not satisfy the requirement for rental affordable housing units. Now we still have a couple ways of dealing with that. And we've got some options, and we're working with Frank Banish, work those through, and once again, I think we're in pretty good shape. But we're certainly not looking at another Hills type development. Definitely not. Not even close. And if some of the things that we're considering do pan out, we may have no obligation to construct anything, which means as we go through this process with the planning board and with John, we may be in a position where we can keep our zoning our own, and we can make decisions about, yeah, we like this project, we don't like this project, that would be good for this area not, and we're protected from affordable housing. And if we choose to do residential development, well, then in that case, we choose to do it on our own terms, not on someone else's terms. Any further questions or comments regarding resolution 2025-029? For the process? Because there will be another process in what, June, July?
By the end of June, the planning board has to adopt the amended housing element fair share.
Okay.
And that'll come quicker than we know.
It'll come quick.
Yeah, we do have time.
Yeah.
I don't anticipate any challenges, but you never know. Other towns, there probably will be challenges, but I can say this was a relatively good shape.
Yeah, and so to your point, other towns are looking at, hey, if we opt into Highlands, that takes adjusts the vacant land adjustment, because we can take some of that land out of development. It doesn't do anything for us in Bedminster. It doesn't change our number at all. So we're just, for other towns, and you may read about this in the local paper, you may see other towns, oh, we're reducing our number by a third or 20% if we opt into Highlands full conformance. Doesn't do anything for us here. Doesn't change our number at all.
You might see some neighboring towns that decide not to participate in this process because they believe their number is so high that there is no potential development within their sewer service areas, and they're just going to not do it. And there's no obligation to do it. This is a voluntary process.
Right.
But it protects you.
But they may be subject to
Yes.
so many lawsuits. So it's a game of poker or whatever.
Tewksbury Township,
The developers.
said we're packing our bags and going home. They didn't participate in the process because it was a belief that there's no parcels within their sewer service area that could be developed, and so far that is proven true.
Yeah, we said from as long as I can remember, we want to be in control of what happens in our borders. And that's why we do what we do. So along those lines, I don't think there's any question. We do prophylactically what we need to do to be in charge of our own future.
We don't know what's going to happen in 2035 because there was a belief that as we were heading toward 2025 that we were going to be back to filing declaratory judgment actions again, and then all of a sudden in late 2023 and early 2024 the legislature kicked into high gear and passed this law that was signed by Governor last March.
And just to be clear, John, it introduced a new class of housing that we did not previously have, a requirement in terms of those 18 affordable family rental units. which when we're talking about coming up short, it wasn't for lack of planning. It's because there was a new type of housing there to go.
There's a new form. I suggested certain percentage. I say to people, it's like a carton of eggs, you know, you could fill up 11 of the 11 of the things in the carton, but if you don't have the 12th, you're not good. Right. So it's a matter of making sure that each one of those is filled under the formula that the law provides.
But to your point, I think Mayor Jacobs said it at the time that the Hills was built, the focus was on for ownership, and then at some point in 30 years of that, it switched to, well, we also want to.
And that's affordable housing policy.
Sure.
Versus the strict numbers that came from the Judge Jacobson decision. So there's been a policy shift. And within that, rentals, some of those rentals can be satisfied with age restricted or group homes, but not all. So you can satisfy up to 50% of your rental obligation through senior or group homes, but you still can't get away from having some component available for family rentals. So to just go through the numbers, 72 total. A minimum of 18 have to be rental.
Did they say who the landlords are?
No, it just has to be restricted rental. So you can buy a unit, put it into restriction, and then be subject to affordable housing requirements for qualification, and that would satisfy. So that does work. It doesn't say the landlord has to be, as long as it's available. So of the 18, you're offering about
I got a couple of bucks.
So of the 18 that are rental, up to nine can be satisfied through senior rentals or group home rentals. And we do have senior in town. And we're still not sure if we actually have group homes or not. Janine Dillion has been doing a great job of finding some group homes that were on the tax rolls as group homes, but apparently not restricted, so they wouldn't apply. And then that would leave at least 9 for family rentals.
And that what we just built doesn't count in that number?
They satisfy third round obligation.
Yeah,
So this is completely new.
Yeah.
And is it a zoning?
Zoning, so we still have one extra unit that was approved. So last year, or no, the last round was satisfied at the end with the 5 units from the Elite project up in Bedminster Village, and then the Carey project that was zoned for and approved in Pluckman. And with those two combined, there's one extra family rental unit that would conceivably work against the 9. So our number may now be down to 8. And there's some opportunities for otherwise satisfying that 8, perhaps that don't involve building anything.
Okay. I just have one more question just to do it kind of in layman's terms. Because it was a little like complicated and anybody who's watching it might not understand. So 72 total rentals for the 4th round application.
72 total affordable housing units.
Right.
58 of which can be owner occupied, and we satisfy that with surplus credits. So, or from maybe I got my numbers wrong. 75% of 72. Did I get my numbers right? I did get my numbers wrong. It's not 58. It's 18.
856. No, 50, 54.
54.
54.
So 54. So 54.
Satisfied with credits. Okay, so we're really looking at number 18. And then they have to be zoned for by 2035.
Zoned for constructed.
By 2035.
Or by the way, conversion.
35, no.
Or Jan, and this is one of the interesting distinctions, or conversion. So just, let's go back to Renee's idea. Who has to be a landlord? No.
Okay, so it could be.
They have to be landlorded as long as they are restricted for income qualified and available specifically for family rentals.
Okay.
So that number is 9, one of which we believe is satisfied with the zoning for carry, which brings us down to 8. So let's say Renee goes, you know, I want to get into this business. I'm going to buy 18 condo units and rent them out for affordable housing rentals. Done.
Okay, I think I understand. And
Thanks, Renee. You have.
What, John?
You go through a program with uniform housing regulations. 580, and there's a whole process as to who gets them. And
Another
how they
meeting.
get them and restrictions on it. That's why we have an administrative agency, CBGH or CWPH. Never had the initial plan that.
Okay.
GPH.
So then just as you, when you qualified years ago, they do the same thing for renters. So renters get qualified and then.
It's a lottery process. That way there's no favorites.
That's right. Very good. And I just have one more question. What is a group home? What does that mean?
A group home could be disabilities, it could be veteran housing,
Okay.
anything like that.
It's defined in the municipal land use law. We use the term generically group home, but it's.
And that's satisfied.
But there's an editor.
And that's, I'm sorry, just to one, I mean, we're getting to the weeds, but that's satisfied by bedroom count. So group homes are set, so if you have a group home that has 4 people, 4 beds reserved for, once again, whether it's disability or veterans with
Assisted living.
could be if it's restricted to affordable.
Definitely.
Yes,
Susie.
And there are organizations that do that when that comes to mind, and another one in my town that has a sort of group homes, an organization called Our House. So they might come in and say, hey, we're going to put 4 folks in this particular house. Typically, town will give them a certain amount per bedroom unit, and then it's restricted. You enter the agreement, and you're good.
right, and our house specializes in autism. So, for example, I mean, we don't have Somerset Hills Learning Institute does not have housing there, but if they did, that could qualify.
Okay.
So a little bit of a primer in the latest in affordable housing, but I think that brings everyone up to speed. Which brings us back to resolution 2025-029. So moved, Mayor. Second.
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Ms. Moreski.
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez.
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next resolution is resolution 2025-031. This accepts the certified list from Pottersville Volunteer Fire Company and Far Hills Bedminster First Aid Squad for eligibility in the Length of Service Award Program, LOSAP, for 2024.
That's correct.
Ms. Ray, you want to walk us through this?
Yes, Mayor. Debbie sort of needs to take care of the LoSAP program, but it's kind of come over my way. And in speaking with the folks at the DCA, the governing body is supposed to pass a resolution